Hey, what's up, guys? Tuki here, back again with another episode of a Nation United Canada edition right here on FIFA 19's career mode. And today, again, we continue onward with our fourth season in the Bundesliga. And of course, this is the first campaign where we get to see the Canadians of Kaiserslautern on the European stage. We made it into the Europa League thanks to winning the DFB Pokal last season, the German Cup. And we'll see whether or not we can make a bit of an impact on the European stage. Now, again, we are in a relatively easy group outside of having to deal with Sevilla, who have won the Europa League on numerous occasions, once at the hands of Liverpool. We don't have to talk about that, though. Of course, we also have some international games that we're going to have to, at the very least, sim through. I don't know if we'll focus upon them. Of course, it's all down to pure luck and RNG as to whether or not we end up making it to the World Cup. I mean, we should have made it last time based off of friendly results. We didn't, which means, yeah, these friendly games are pretty much meaningless. Meaningless is a good word for it. We'll just wait and see if it ends up giving us a spot in the World Cup this upcoming year as we draw the United States. A late goal from Piet gets us that draw. We return to the Bundesliga with a game against Hamburg. And Brock Gallard wants to play, which isn't going to happen, obviously. In terms of the team, actually, we're pretty much good to go. We just got to get Cameron in there. You know, that's fine. That's pretty much a team right there, because I really don't care about Brock Gallard and his happiness. Gotta be honest. He's just a role player for us for now, especially considering we finally found that right back of the future. So let's see what we can do here against Hamburg. We might stay live for this entire episode. That is a 90-minute draw with nothing happening in between. Wow. Not a single substitution, not a single card, nothing. Just a flat-out draw, and that sets the stage. Look at this beautiful menu change. It's beautiful. That sets the stage for our first ever Europa League game against Malmo. I was tempted to play it, but without it being against tougher competition, I expect it to be a win, so I won't. I'm going to jump in if I am needed. Larry, stop complaining. Although, in fairness, he could be given the start here. If we were to ever give some of our other guys a starting chance, it would be against an opponent of this caliber, especially because we play Cologne in just a few days. But also, I want to win, so I don't really care if people complain if they're not a starter. So let's see what happens. Our first ever game in Europe, Kaiserslautern in the Europa League, visiting Malmo. Let's see if we can get the win. It might be Malmö. Could be, with the things over the O. I don't remember what the hell they're called, and I don't want to call it the wrong thing and look foolish. Can we get the win? No, we can't. An 80th minute, tying goal from David. That is tremendously disappointing. I viewed Trabzonspor as the biggest competition for us, aside from Sevilla, in that group. And for us to lose that game, or not lose the game, we drew the game, but for us to have a result that feels like a loss, that's not a great start to the European campaign, and we follow that up by losing to Cologne after scoring a goal in the 5th minute. And it was Davies, and unfortunately, we fall short from there. So not exactly off to a flying start in terms of results thus far. In this episode, we got a long way to go, even if we do stay live with it. We'll see how it goes, but with all the Europa League games, it's to the point where we might as well stay live with it. We have a lot of Bundesliga games early, though. We end up playing Bremen here. I'm going to leave the team as is. I know some players are tired, but we're going to go for it. Like I said at the beginning of the year, we're going to be running a lot of these guys into the ground. They're going to be getting all the playing time they could possibly ask for. And we end up drawing 2-2 against Bremen. So again, still struggling. I don't think we've won a Bundesliga game since our first game. So 1 win. Yeah, that's what it is. It's 1 win out of 5. Nathan Taylor complaining about the amount of games already. Nathan, buddy, pal of mine, could you not? Now, here's the thing. Are we already at the... We're not at the day of our next game, are we? We are. Jesus Christ. All right, so we're definitely going to have to start some other people here. So Kerr will get the game off. We'll make that little move there. Taylor will be in for Park. James will sit for Sullivan. Cooper can sit, and let's... God, is there a way to bring in Cameron? Taylor can play left back. Gagnon, of course, can play center back. Yeah, sorry, Cameron. I just don't really see how you're going to get into this team. So we'll make those changes at the very least. We'll have to start cycling some players around. We'll see what White can do against Freiburg. You would have seen, though, if you got a quick look at the table, that both Bayern Munich and Dortmund are currently below us in the league table. So not exactly uncommon for a team to struggle early. It's another draw. Davies in the 69th minute. Thank you, Alfonso, for trying in terms of goal scoring this season. That brings us back to the Europa League. But, again, not exactly killing it right now, are we? Not exactly. It is Sevilla. This is, again, the toughest opponents that we are going to have in the group stage of this tournament, as Kerr nearly makes it to a very nice 69 overall rating. We will have a scouting report, though, before we get to this game. But Sevilla did beat Trabzonspor in the opening game of the tournament. We play Bayern Munich immediately after this, which is very scary. So the scouting report here, we have Mathis, who will sign. Brown will hold off on. We'll sign Jay Kerr for the moment. Colin James. I think we already have a Colin James. We'll sign those guys for the moment. When it comes to, I forget who left the comment as well, and I might not remember to put it up on screen, but when it comes to signing players and then selling them just for the sake of having them out there in the wild, not a bad idea, depending on how many people we have on the roster at any given time. But it also is, frankly, kind of annoying to sit there and have to deal with the AI, constantly having transfers fall apart. Colin Martin, you are gone. Lucas White's looking great. Noah Park's looking great. Sullivan still has a chance. And again, Brian Clark is going to be so good for us. Can't wait to finally get him on the roster. Brault Gallard wants to leave, which is fine. We'll allow him to do that because we'll be signing that right back sooner rather than later. So we'll just go ahead and add him to the transfer list and see if he ends up leaving in January. So we play Sevilla. A win here would be gigantic for us. Again, this is our second of 6 games in the Europa League, but a win here is still, frankly, very important already. So let's get James and Park back in, and then we'll get Kerr back in. Although Kay is in poor form, we're going to take him out, move James up into the midfield, and let's give Cameron a game. We'll have Gagnon at center. Yeah, let's do it that way. And of course, Kerr will be up top, but David as the cam. So let's see how we can do in our second game. It was a draw against Malmo, which again felt like a loss. And against Sevilla here, this could be tough. Let's see what happens, though. It is the home leg between the two games. Can we get a win? Our first win of the episode, not in international play. We cannot. Kerr scores in the 38th minute. It's another draw. Good Lord, how many draws can we possibly finish with? Absolutely ridiculous, but it is another draw, ultimately. You're welcome, Cooper, for the game. He's still just 18 years old as Cooper at this point, but you're welcome, Cooper, for the game. Hey, we got a draw at the very least. We are in 10th in the Bundesliga, 6 points through 6 games. We already get a transfer offer for Brault Gallard from Porto. We'll see if he ultimately leaves. If he does, then obviously we sign that right back as soon as we can. We can't sign him right now. He's only 15. But sooner rather than later, I would hope. So Kerr's in good form, but he's going to sit for this game. We're going to get David back up top. Cameron will take a seat, although I don't really know what the hell we're going to do for the midfield here. We got some guys in poor form, but there's really not much that I can do about that. We're going to go ahead and bring Kay back in. So Kay, Piet, and Cooper. You can go ahead and do that, I think. Although, you know what? Let's take out Cooper. Let's put Clark in the middle and get Moore into this lineup. Let's go with that. I mean, with this many people in poor form, or, you know, it's only a couple of people, but with people in poor form, and obviously right now the depth that we have is extremely limited, if not doesn't exist at all, it could cause some issues. Now, Bayern are in terrible form, to the point where we just beat them 2-0. David and Kerr off the bench with the goals. I mean, they have Lukaku in, Gnabry's still there, Herrera. I can't believe that they're in as bad a form as they were. Of course, we looked at the teams at the end of the last episode. We know they're still a good team, but thankfully we finally snapped that streak of draws. We end up getting a win against Bayern Munich, of all teams. Sullivan up to a 68, which is looking very good. And hopefully, I mean, unfortunately, we can't really build upon that momentum because we go right into the international break where we play Mexico and the United States. But we'll see what happens from there upon our return. Mexico, we beat them 2-0. David and Wilson. Very, very good. And we'll see what we can do against the United States after this training session that should see Cooper up to a 67 or not. Had the finishing and short pass gone up, either one of them, he definitely would have made it. But next week, he will be where we want him to be. As Brault Gallard has been sold, so he'll be leaving. He's going to Portugal with FC Porto in January. Fine by me. I mean, again, he's the type of player, just like a lot of the other guys that we sold, where we knew just if they weren't playing, it was pretty much going to be that way. Now, we could play them in the Europa League, but again, like, there's not too much depth that I want to try to rely on. It's just play the top guys as much as we can, as much as they can afford to be played, and really focus on their development in the process. Now, this is the team that picked up the win. I don't really know what I want to do here, because I do want to get Kerr back into that lineup. I don't really have a way to do it. So, unfortunately, it's either going to be Moore or Kerr who sacrifices. I'm going to leave the team as is. It is the team that beat Bayern Munich. We play Schalke. And we'll see what we can do here. Hopefully get a win. If not, we'll change the lineup back. They are winless in at least their last 3. And that streak ends. For some reason, Schalke just gives us all the trouble in the world. I don't know if we've ever beaten them in the sim over the past now 3.5 seasons. They always seem, I mean, last year too, they were one of the 2 teams to really ruin our momentum and stop us from finishing in the top 6. And now this year, it's like, okay, hey, we beat Bayern, and then we lose to Schalke. Again, it's just a given for whatever reason. I don't know why. Now, we play Trabzonspor. God damn it. Then we play Dusseldorf 2 days later. Are you kidding me? Talk about having to rely on the depth here. Now, a win here would obviously be great. Lineup-wise, we're going to kind of get things back to what they, normally would be. K is going to sit because we're going to move James into the midfield. Park's in poor form, but this will be his chance to snap out of it. And we'll take it from there. That looks fine. We will prioritize this game against Trabzonspor rather than focusing on that game against Dusseldorf, who we should be able to beat. That's a pretty bold prediction. They got crushed by Sevilla. They drew Malmo 2-2. Let's see if we can get the win here in the away leg against this Turkish club. We need a win here, please. And it's a win we do get. Alphonso Davies ended up going 1 for 2 penalty-wise. David and Clark. I was going to say, normally it's David who takes the pens. It was Davies this time. But regardless, despite the missed pen, absolute domination. 3-0 victory. And that sets the stage for us to likely move on, I would hope. And we do end up playing Dusseldorf. As far as who gets to play, I just don't know. We're going to have some tired people, man. Jonathan David's going to stay in. We're going to play Cooper. Sullivan's going to be in. We'll move Davies over. The other Sullivan is probably going to be in as well. Kay, he's in poor form, but he'll still play. So we'll have Sullivan, Cameron, and then move Gagnon over. And you know what? Brault Gallard will actually get his wish for once. He's going to be allowed to play. A rare occasion now that we've already confirmed he'll be leaving the club. So we'll see what we can do here. I mean, schedule-wise, just a backbreaker having to deal with the European games. But we'll hopefully still be able to get a win here. No, we will not. That is honestly an unacceptable loss. We shouldn't be losing to that team in general, let alone 2-0. That's pretty poor. That's pretty poor. I know we had some of our key players out of the lineup, fatigued, but we needed a better result than that. And the good thing is Sullivan up to a 69 rated center back, so he's that much closer to being an everyday player. We play Bielefeld in the DFB Pokal in round 2. A somewhat favorable matchup this time out. Of course, as winners, that does help us a little bit. So, Brault Gallard, you are out. Kerr is still tired. But you know what? We're gonna play him on low rest. Let's get Clark in there. Kay is still... My God, we ended up with a lot of people in poor form. We'll play James in the midfield. Taylor there. Park will be in for Sullivan. And that's looking a little bit better. You know what we're actually going to do here is we're going to sit Kerr and bring in Moore. Unfortunately, the rest of the team is in poor form, aside from the guys that we have in the lineup right now. So that's not really a good sign. Hopefully a lot of them can snap out of it. Let's see what we can do. It'd be very fitting for us to get bounced here in round 2, our first game of the tournament after winning it last year. We did not, though. Taylor, I believe, gets his first professional goal in the 45th minute. Not ideal, of course, that the attack force that we have couldn't rip apart a lower-tiered side, but a win is a win, and we are undefeated for at least the past calendar year in the DFB Pokal. We have that going for us, as giving a little bit of prize money, and of course we'll have our scouting report here. And a training injury, 2 weeks for Mark Anthony K. That's pretty rough. 310 grand there. Let's see who was in the scouting report this time out. Anthony Park, Russell Banks, Reese Burns. Now Brett Park's going to be dropped, obviously. Adam White safe for the moment. Andrew Mathis is going to be dropped. Haber's safe for the moment. Olsen's barely safe. Noah Park is barely safe. I don't think it's going to work out for him, unfortunately. Lucas White, though, is an absolute monster, and to be honest, the sooner we sign him, the better. Of course, we're getting towards the end of having to train up the main 3 that we're focusing on right now, so that's looking pretty good. Let's sign Victor Smith. Let's sign Burns, and then that other guy, Victor Campbell. We might have to wait because we don't have enough spots. A rarity here. I know Noah Park's a 62, but just the potential-wise. Now, he would be the type of guy, hey, sign him and then just sell him immediately. I just don't feel like dealing with the prompts every 5 seconds. I gotta be honest. So I'm just gonna outright cut him. That potential dropped a little bit too far. And we'll go ahead and sign Victor Campbell and let the others continue to be scouted. And Larry White wants out. At least out on loan. Here's the thing, I'm kind of pissed. What's his contract set to? Rotation. Yeah, I guess you haven't, 2 appearances. That's not really rotation, is it? But before this game for Leverkusen, against Leverkusen, of course, K is hurt. So this is rough. Alright, Moore's going to be out. We're going to play Kerr, and aside from that, the lineup is pretty much good to go. So, sorry to Mr. White, but hey, what can I say here? I mean, if we can secure our spot in the Europa League, he'll be able to play the final few games of that, but it's a pretty big if. What if, at least? Mathis scores a minute in, and that leads to a 2-0 victory. Taylor with another goal in the 65th minute, 2-1 win over Leverkusen on the road, which is a very solid win. Nothing to scoff at. That is a damn good result for us as we get to play Trabzonspor again And I think, I mean, right now, if we lose and Malmo win, we end up being tied. I think this is a game that we can let White play in. As Kerr nearly up to a 70. I think once we get these guys to 70 rated, I might stop the training and focus on guys like that one, defensive midfielder that we had in the youth academy. As we play Hertha Berlin in a few days. This schedule is a killer right now, though, because of these games. My God. But let's see what we can do here. We are going to start White. And aside from that, let's see if some of these other guys in poor form can snap out of it. I think that's going to be the target objective here, which really is going to put a win in jeopardy, but we'll go for it. It'll be better if we can get these guys to snap out of it, and at the very least, they'll get a game played. As long as we don't lose, it's not a nightmare result, and Trabzonspor currently in the bottom of the group, so we should be able to do something here. I mean, we beat them 3-0 with our starters. I'd like to think a home leg with some secondary players, we can get at least a draw, and we lose 1-0. Okay, that's great. Thanks, boys. Thanks. So glad I put my confidence in you. Thank you. That is incredibly frustrating. Like, that really is. That is incredibly frustrating. We give some of these other guys a chance and just nothing. Nothing from them. I mean, we still had David up top, too. And just nothing there. So much for getting them to snap out of their poor form. Might have just made it worse for some of them. Aside from that, Sullivan's got to be out for Park. Brault Gallard has been terrible whenever he's been given a chance to play. That'll be the team for this game against Hertha Berlin. Let's see what we can do. IRL, they're fresh off of a win against Bayern Munich, so hey, we've beaten Bayern Munich, right? We've both beaten Bayern Munich, which means we can win this game. Hey, we did. Cool. Reverse psychology worked. Mathis scored again. We're getting a lot of goals from defenders lately. 24th minute goal from Mathis. We get the 1-0 win. But a lot of goals from defenders, not much from the attackers lately. That's it's light cause for concern, I would say. I feel like that's a fair assessment, right? There's reason to be concerned. Let's see what we have here. Kay is nearly back from injury. And we have, I believe, one more game before. No, we don't. We're straight into the international break. We play Mexico again. Of course, we'll just sim through this. It'll tell me to fix the lineup because Kay is hurt or not. It fixed it on its own. Let's see what we can do. They're coming off of a 4-1 win against Egypt. And they beat us 2-1, or 2-0, I should say. So, again, a bit disappointing. I wish I could care a little bit more about these games, but we know ultimately that it's just RNG. Otherwise, we would have made it in the last World Cup. Can we beat Egypt? Yes, we can. So a 3-1 win against the Salah-less Egyptian side. So, not too bad. Losing to Mexico kind of sucks, but what are you going to do? The North American rivals, Jonathan David, out for 9 days. Well, I hope our younger Cam, Mr. Cooper, is ready to go. You know what? We're going to leave Kerr in training because, yeah, if Jonathan David goes down, it's all up to Larry. This becomes the Larry Kerr show if Jonathan David goes down long term. So, hey, let's go for it. We're still 9th in the league, ahead of Dortmund and Bayern somehow. We play Leipzig, who are currently looking to make their way into the top 6. So, Larry Cooper, you're in poor form, but you get the chance. Kay is back. Although he will not be in. He'll be on the bench because our 2 center backs are in good form. James is in good form in the midfield. So we'll leave the team this way. Cooper's the only real person I have any concern about. I could put Clark or Davies, behind Kerr and put Moore out on the wing. In fairness, that might be the way to go. Cooper, I'm sorry. But I think let's have Davies in the middle. Let's see what Davies can do there. Clark has continued to struggle to put up goals, but Davies has been on point at certain times in this season. So let's see what we can do here against Leipzig. We get the win, and Alphonso Davies gets the lone goal. So there we go. A decent decision for once on my part. I will take it. Now with 2 games left in the Europa League, Malmo currently behind us on goal differential. So we desperately need a win here after that loss to Trabzonspor. Of course, we play Sevilla. And then, well, Sevilla in the last game. We play Malmo here. We cannot afford to lose. This is a must-win game by all metrics, to the point where I'm tempted to play it. If we lose this here, there is a chance that we are not going to find our way through. So it's kind of a tough call, but we have a lot of people who are in pretty damn good form. We're going to leave Clark and Davies swapped. Let's get Jonathan David back in there. This team should be good enough to win. They really should be. I mean, we said that before, heading into the game against Malmo, that first leg, but this time it's the home leg. Again, we need a win. A draw isn't a disaster, because I could play the final game against Sevilla and potentially survive, but a loss would be heartbreaking, because that would really put the pressure on. We'd have to win and have to have results go our way, and I think Malmo would be playing Trabzonspor. Now, Clark scores in the 9th minute. That's a good start. But yeah, if we were to lose this game, we'd have to win by a decent amount and have some other results go our way. But we're up by 1 at half. Can we hold on? Kerr makes it 2. Let's sim the rest. 2-1. They ended up scoring in the 62nd minute, but we hold on. That is a clutch victory from this team that should see us through to the second round, or at least out of the group stage of the Europa League, barring a miracle. And we're also 7th in the Bundesliga as we get ready to take on Mainz. Now we have our final scouting report for playmakers. Peter Olsen's not going to work. Adam Henry might. We got to take a look here, though, with the academy again. So Adam White still has an outside chance. Jay Haber's not going to make it. The odds that he is an 86 or an 87 are so incredibly slim. Andy's a 52. Haber's not going to make it. Carson Martin. Unlikely to make it either, and he's a 45 at 17 years old. Pierre Olsen has a better shot of making it for sure. It'd take a while to train him up. Lucas White is a beast, and the sooner we get him into the team, the better. Park's still looking okay. Jay Kerr isn't going to make it. Justin Campbell isn't going to make it. Tyler Morgan isn't likely to make it. Alex Sullivan isn't going to make it. Clark's great. Colin James might make it. Reese Burns is okay. Banks is okay. Victor Campbell's gone. He's a 50 at 17 years old. And then Victor Smith still looking okay. So we don't have too many slam dunk prospects in the academy right now. We will sign Adam Henry. We'll sign Anthony Kerr just because we can. And that's that for playmakers. So I think, again, we'll reassign the scout and look for technically gifted this time out. Again, you can only assign 1 scout to Canada, so that's all we will ever have is the 1 scout, Christoph Schaefer. So overall, still have some decent options there. This game against Mainz is going to require us to make some changes, unfortunately. White, I mean, here's another chance for you, buddy. Here's another chance for you to not completely botch this. Sullivan will be in. We're going to rest James. Bring back Kay. David will play up top. Cooper at cam. And Clark will sit for Moore. I'm going to leave Moore and Davies on the reverse sides and see if that works out for us. So a win here would see us into the top 6 potentially. We have that game at hand on Bayern. But right now, Wolfsburg, the result is unknown. So let's see what happens. December 1st, home game against Mainz. Coming off of back-to-back wins. Can we get the W? Yes, we can. Davies scores in the 9th. Misses a penalty. They tie it in the 72nd minute. 12 minutes later, Larry Kerr. Clutch goal. Will that see us into the top 6 at the latest point in the season yet? It will. We are in the top 6. 1 point above Wolfsburg. This is the latest. I mean, we're only 13 games in. We got 21 games to go. But this is the latest we've ever been in the season, with us still being in the top 6, which isn't saying much. And if it's not, it feels like it is, at the very least. Larry's pissing me off. He literally just played, and he's like, Coach, can I leave? Fine, you can leave, Larry. Fine by me. Fine by me. We'll recall the other Larry, who doesn't whine all the time. That'll be fine by me. We'll recall the other Larry. I call him Better Larry. Behind your back. We play Mönchengladbach here. I think we'll go at least till January. We might as well. We're making pretty good time. We'll see what we can do here. Wayne Park wants back in. Of course, we are going to have to change up the lineup. And indeed, Park will be back in. James will be back in for K. Kerr is in. Moore's in good form too, but that's not enough to have him play over Clark. Unfortunately, he's the one guy in good form right now that is going to have to miss out. It's him or Taylor, and Taylor's in great form, so he gets to stay for obvious reasons. So that's good. Lineup set. Let's see what we can do against Borussia Mönchengladbach, trying to stay in the top 6. They don't have a win in their last 3 games, but they'll probably win this one. Or not. Bennett misses a penalty in the 3rd minute. Davies scores either just at halftime or just after. I would assume that it didn't screw them over, and that Davies scored. Well, it might have screwed them over in terms of stoppage time, is what I was thinking of, because you know how stoppage time goals work within the game at least. So with that, as long as we don't lose to Sevilla, we should be through. We do get a loan offer for Larry White from Schalke. We'll see if that can go through. And at least that way it'll appease him, and we'll figure out the goalkeeping situation from there. But for now, as long as the results hold, we should be good to go. Kerr and Cooper both improve. Cooper closing in on getting to a 70 overall. Kerr up to a 71. 79 finishing up to 62 stamina for the young striker. Trabzonspor obviously out. Malmo's hopes holding on by a thread. And we'll see what the situation is. Of course, they'll be playing Trabzonspor on the day. I want to see what the goal differential looks like. And we'll be playing Frankfurt. Mathis, November Player of the Month. Not bad, especially for a defender. And let's see here. So if we beat Sevilla, we top the group, which would be great. 7 goals for, only 4 against. So right now we have them beat on goal differential by 5 because they've allowed the more goals. So we're fine. Unless Sevilla absolutely thrashes us here, we're going to be okay. I'm tempted to play it, but you know what? For me, as long as we make it through, I don't care. At least for the group stage. As long as we make it through, I'm fine with it, and we'll just keep going. So we'll see what ultimately happens here. We will sim the away leg against Sevilla. Can the team pull off a major victory on their own by beating Sevilla on the road to take the group? That is the question. I mean, Sevilla did lose to Malmo. We didn't. We beat them and drew them. So let's see what we can do. They have Hadrecki in goal. I'm probably butchering that name, but formerly a Bundesliga goalkeeper. Is that Tom Solanke? Liverpool and Bournemouth? What the hell? Former Chelsea. They get the goal in the 34th minute. We'll see if we can tie this up. We're going to need to. Moore is on for Kerr. Clark scores in the 62nd. 20 minutes left. Hey, if results hold, we're through no matter what. A win would be nice. 5 minutes left. And we ultimately draw Sevilla 1-1, so they win the group. But that's fine by me because we are through to the next stage of the Europa League. That's a fresh $5.5 million added, although, of course, that is just completely worthless to us. But hey, we're through. We are advancing to the second round of, or, out of the group stage. Yeah, to the second round, you can call it that. Of the Europa League without me having to play a single game. This team accomplished that on their own, as White will not be going to Schalke. We get to play Frankfurt, and then we get to play Bayern Munich, so things are looking good for us. Only change we're really going to make, Park's exhausted. Let's move James back, get K into the lineup, and aside from that, we're good. We'll leave that as is. And we'll see who's good to go fitness-wise for the game against Bayern Munich. So we are again still fighting to stay within the top 6. Can we do so? It's another draw, full 90 minutes with absolutely no talking points whatsoever. A point's a point, I'll take it. A win, of course, would have been much better. You know, anytime you're not playing one of the big dogs of the Bundesliga, it would be nice to get the win, but, you know, we'll do what we can. We'll take it. The third round of the DFB Pokal. We take on Bayern Munich, which scares me, even though we beat them earlier this season. Absolutely scares the hell out of me that we are going to fall short here. Although we had some big simmed results in the tournament last year, so you never know. Good things could happen. We get a loan offer from Villarreal for Larry White. We'll see if that goes through. Will he be heading to Spain for the next year? And in terms of the Europa League, are we going to find out where we stand? No, we are not. Yes, we are. Round of 32, we take on AZ, a Dutch side. Let's take a look here. So the DFB Pokal, third round. I mean, these are the 8 matchups that we've had. What I want to take a look at, though, is the Europa League. Might as well get an update on how that went. So the group stage, Hertha Berlin and Slavia Praha are through. Kind of surprised Praha made it through. We, of course, made it through alongside Sevilla. Malmo actually ended up finishing in last. Spurs and AEK Athens are through. Inter and Olympiacos. Fiorentina and Lille. Real Betis and Feyenoord. Everton and Basel. Marseille and Roma. AZ and Manchester United. Bordeaux and Copenhagen. Villarreal not making it through as the first surprising team. Hoffenheim and Porto. Ajax and Anderlecht. So pretty much all the teams you would expect to make it through did. Now the good thing is we get a very beneficial matchup. Despite not finishing in top of the group, we take on AZ. I mean, again, Sporting and Hoffenheim, that's rough for those two teams. I mean, they're two good teams. Betis gets a decent matchup. Gladbach gets a decent matchup. I mean, Everton, Manchester United and Sevilla, and Roma and Bayern. So you have some big teams here. Juventus are down into the Europa League at this point. You have some big teams that are going to be eliminating one another. Lyon and Ajax, Arsenal and Fiorentina. Meanwhile, we get to take on, and no disrespect to AZ, but a lesser club in the Eredivisie. So I'm not feeling all that bad. And because of that, they will probably knock us out. So in terms of the lineup here, what do we want to do? It is Bayern Munich after all. Let's bring in more. David will be down to the cam roll, of course. Kerr will be brought in. Park has to be in. So James will drop back to center back. And that'll be the team. I mean, we've beaten Bayern Munich once before this season. Can we do it again? For some reason, I doubt it. They're in a little bit better form now than they were when we played them last. The team, I mean, Lukaku, Iwobi, Goretzka. Yeah, it's tough, man. They got some of the bigger names in there, too. Through 30 minutes, though, nothing overly eventful. Mathis scores again. He's a goal-scoring machine. And through 60 minutes, we have the lead. And Balo Toure is able to tie it. 15 minutes left now. 10. Is there going to be a late winner? There is not. We score in extra time. Are we going to penalties or will that hold? 2-1. 10 minutes left. Kaiserslautern have beaten Bayern again. Cooper's goal in the 92nd minute. The Cam gets the job done. It took extra time, but we beat Bayern for the second time this season, and we bounced them from the German Cup. That is absolutely insane. So we're currently in 4th in the Bundesliga. We have made it past Bayern Munich in the 3rd round of the German Cup. We're in the round of 32 in the Europa League. Things are finally starting to go well for us, if I dare say that. Things are starting to look up for us. Now we're going to get Clark and Davies back in here. And unfortunately, we're going to have to roll with some tired players. Park will sit for Sullivan. Let's get Gagnon in there. Brault Gallard can play. And I hate to say it, but White, here's your chance to not completely botch it. You know what? I'm gonna go for a risk here. Let's bring on Sullivan. He hasn't been able to play much, and we'll put Davies in behind him. So that'll be the mix and mash, the mishmash of a team that we go with for this game against Wolfsburg. In a battle to, keep our top 4 spot over Hertha Berlin. Let's see what we can do. Can Larry White finally get a win between the sticks for us this season? No, he cannot. 2 penalties for Trossard. Davies scores, but ultimately disappointing as we fall to penalties. And that bounces us all the way back down to 7th on the outside looking in. So, I mean, you can't really blame a goalie for penalties, but my God, Larry White, if you could just keep a clean sheet for once, hey, maybe we'd get a result. Maybe we'd get a point when you start. And that just hasn't happened. So that's pretty disappointing. That sets us up for a pretty big game against Dortmund, who are in 9th. Pretty tough matchup. It's an away leg as well. Of course, we'll get the majority of our starters back in. I don't think we've won a single game with Brault Gallard in the lineup either. It's been fairly brutal. Kay is in poor form, so Colin James, I believe it is, will go back into the midfield. Kerr's going to sit. Sullivan's going to be out. Not Kay, I want Cooper. There we go. That is the team for another tough matchup here, this time against Dortmund, who again have almost become our biggest rivals thus far. Still sucks that we're coming off of a fairly disappointing loss, but Christmas Eve, can we get the win? No, we cannot. Julian Brandt, the 10th minute. That is the only notable occurrence in that game. That drops us, well, actually still in 7th, but Dortmund now tied with us in points. The difference on goal differential. White's lone move still not coming to pass. And that'll be the last game of the calendar year. Now, Pierre Olsen wants out of the youth academy. We will take a look again here at the youth academy in a moment. Let's at least look at Olsen, who is going to be signed. Now, he's only a 48. So, man, we need to see crazy good potential here if we're going to try to develop him. And we wouldn't even be able to loan him out. He would have to be... It's not even going to tell me yet. Are you kidding me? I don't know, man. I need to be able to see what that status is. Otherwise, it's not looking too good. But we do have a scouting report coming back in a moment anyway. So we'll see if we can get a look at what that potential is. And hopefully it's good enough, because otherwise it's not worth trying to develop him when he's, below a 50. It's already a pretty big risk. As we do get another loan offer. Leicester in for Larry White as we continue to see if he'll be on the way out. Of course, the other goalie, the other Larry, should be back from loan this month. So we'll have that built-in replacements ready to go. So let's take a look here. A couple of emails of note, but we are in 8th at this point in time. Brault Gallard has left the club. And for scouting reports, we have Brett White and Russell Kerr, who could be tremendous. Those will be the first 2 that we've added in. Now, our grade's down to a 75, which is a little bit concerning. Let's take a look, not at the youth staff. We have almost $200 million to work with, man. We could buy any player we wanted. So let's see. Adam Henry, I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work, Adam. I'm sorry. Adam White, there's an outside chance. Brett White, outside chance. Russell Kerr is looking pretty good still, but we just got him. Anthony Park is definitely out. Lucas White needs to be signed pretty much ASAP. Colin James, outside chance. Brian Clark, we still can't sign yet, unfortunately. Any other auto cuts here? Reese Cooper. So until Lucas White complains, I'm going to leave him there because he keeps getting better. But I mean, there's one of your built-in replacements for K or for Piet. Absolutely. Now, The one thing I'm worried about, though, is that we can't sign that right back yet. So it might be worth taking a look at Canadian defenders, because we have the ability to bring in anybody that we want to bring in. So let's just search. I mean, Marcus Godinho may be returning, ultimately. Michael Edekugbe, we can take a look to see how good he's going to be, ultimately. Edekugbe, of course, we wouldn't really want to bring in. Derek Cornelius, I mean, center back-wise, we're fine. I almost wonder how good Julian Dunn is at this point. Juan Cordova's on an expiring deal. Godinho is on loan, so Burnley loaned him out. We won't be able to bring him back. Colin Gauthier, of course, not the only defender that we've sent to Porto, apparently. Daniel Henry, Gutierrez, Mandrakar James, of course, went to Levante. I don't know if we have any good right-backs, man. Nathan Mathis we got rid of. Is there anybody else we'd want to bring in? And, of course, there really aren't that many generated players. We might have to. There's the center pack. And Wolves also sent Tyler Wolff out on loan. How disrespectful. We might have to play a couple of players out of position. I mean, we have Cameron, who's a left back. We could play him as a right back. We'll make it work one way or another. But let's see what happens here. I want to sim a day or two. And Mo Salah just just surrounded by AC Milan players. So we end up having White leave on loan, which means Larry Taylor will be coming back. He's up to a 78. Potential to be special for him as well. His role is listed as important, which I don't think we're going to be able to get him on a better offer than that. So, you know, I might just set him up to go out on loan again, and then we'll recall one of the two if an injury were to happen to Cooper, which could happen because we might end up running Cooper into the ground. I don't know. Pierre Olsen, it's not telling me how good he is. So screw it. We'll transfer him out if we can, and then if he ends up becoming something, then he's there. But, yeah, we have no way to know for sure, unfortunately, whether or not he's actually worth trying to develop. So we might as well just get rid of him. Let him go out into the wild. Cooper, you're the last man that we're waiting for to turn into a 70. You should get there next week. And then we'll probably start focusing on the right back and the CDM and the youth academy. The good thing is, of course, we have the January break, so we don't really have to worry. Luka Jovic goes to Real Madrid for $111 million. Jesus. And no emails as far as any moves or anything. That's a little bit surprising. So in terms of the youth staff, or actually not the youth staff, the youth academy in general, again, the only guarantees are Lucas White and Brian Clark. And we're going to work them into the training rotation. I think we've seen enough from Kerr and from Sullivan for the moment. So let's go ahead and find Mr. Lucas White. Make him better in terms of defending. Make him better in terms of simple ball control. And we will go over to Mr. Clark and focus on his defending. And that's how the training will continue. Cooper still didn't make it up to a 70. God damn it, Cooper. You're taking forever. Just get to a 70. That's the benchmark for somewhat usable. Just get there already, would you? Damn it. Next week is the time, if need be. Mines sign a guy for under $1 million. We got scouting reports back on the few guys that we took a look at, but again, I'm not concerned at all. AC Milan making moves, I suppose. Zolta Wergen making moves. As we end up with still nothing. Just no moves. Nobody wants that 40 overall guy that we picked up. It's not looking too good. Cooper finally makes it to a 70. Do you believe in miracles? Apparently, you should. So Cooper improves. I'm going to take one more look at that damn CDM just to see if he's worth it. Can it please tell me what the hell his status is? Please. Damn it. I might just outright release him at a certain point unless it tells me. The good thing is, I've done a pretty good job of keeping down the clutter as far as how many people we have on the roster right now. So that's nice at least. And of course the player returning from loan would have been Larry Taylor. So a 75 grade. We are 8th in the Bundesliga. We are heading to the 4th round of the German Cup, and we are in the round of 32 in the Europa League. Why our rating is that low? I don't know, because I feel like we're doing pretty damn well. Donald Taylor got recruited, which is fine, because if he's any good, we wouldn't have let him go anyway. And as far as the team is concerned, let's get Larry Kerr back into the lineup. I'm going to flip Davies and Clark, because I feel like they do a little bit better that way. I almost feel like we do better with them not being out on the wings and with them being a little bit more central. Of course, Jonathan David's back in. And... oof. I guess we're good. Because lineup-wise, it's not really much I can do in terms of a formation to have so many people be that much more central. It would have to be something similar to this. The 4-2-2. Which, of course, right now we're doing well. I just wonder if under the 4-2-2, if Clark and Davies will do a little bit better, just because they'll be a little bit more central. I'm not against trying it. I mean, we lose the connection of a cam. Although, hold on, let me check this. Nope, that's not what I wanted. 1, 2, 3, 4, oh my god, 5, damn it. 1, 2. There we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. Perfect. Let's just make sure everyone's in their proper role. And Davies is a left wing. 1, 2, 2, 5, 1, 2. I'm trying to get him to a cam. Let's see, that's 7, 8, 9, 10. How far over do I got to move him for him to be a cam? That's 12, 14. Alright, so like 16? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Hey, there we go. Okay. So I'll have them be a little bit more centered. We're going to have David right about here. That also has him listed as a cam. What if we have Kerr up top? Can I move David up a little bit? So there we go. So we have David as a center forward. I don't know if that formation is going to work at all. It's very centered. It's very compact. But, you know, it might work. And then penalties. Davies is the best we have on penalties. So, let's do that. And then let's see, Captain Gagnon, of course. Free kick-wise, we definitely want it to be Clark. Long free kick is Clark. And then corners, I guess that's going to be Clark as well. He's kind of our set-piece specialist. So we'll see if this formation works a little bit. Again, the catalyst for that move is just seeing how well Davies has done in the rare instances where we've played him as a cam because of player fatigue. So we'll see what happens against Borussia Mönchengladbach. There's a decent chance, although they're in poor form lately, that they're going to just absolutely stomp us here. Or we can end up with the draw. 85th minute tying goal from Kerr to at least secure a point. It's not too bad, so obviously no real way to tell how much of a difference there was there, but I'll take it. It's not too bad. Please stop the sim. Barcelona bring in Jorge Mere. And we get some other news back as far as the reports, or, you know, the scouting reports. I don't even think we're going to bring anybody in. I think we're fine. So Cooper's up to a 70. We're going to focus on White and Clark only, just to get them up to even more usable points. So I know Clark's more of a holding option, but we'll improve him from an offensive standpoint. And let's improve Brian Clark as well. Although, you know what, let's focus on Clark a little bit more just because he's a lower overall. And we'll get his short passing up as well. Although the best way to do that is to also focus on the stamina. So you know what, let's go with the dribbling maybe. There's so many different ways we could make these guys better, but screw it, that'll be the focus. So Clark, technically not making the short passing better, but the long passing, the crossing, be a little bit more valuable for him. So we will end this in a moment. We're gonna at least get through the January window. I'm gonna I'm going to hold with who we have. We have reinforcements from the youth academy if we need them. But I'm not going to go for any outside help. I think we can survive this. Famous last words. With Canada, we will re-sign, and for the love of God, just get me to the World Cup, EA. Just get me to the World Cup. The good thing is that 15-year-old right back should be usable very, very soon. But again, I don't think there's going to be any major news here outside of what the other teams are going to be doing. The good thing is Dortmund have significantly weakened themselves. Berkey and Brandt have been moved out. So that's interesting, of course, if some of our, bigger rivals and tougher competition end up weakening themselves in this window. I mean, we haven't weakened ourselves. If anything, losing Brawl Gallard sucks, but technically we have a backup keeper who's even better than who we were using before without having to make a move. So I think we're looking okay. I mean, Bayern brought in Mendy. They didn't sell anybody. We have some teams here who have done absolutely nothing. Some teams who have only weakened themselves. So it's going to be interesting to see how the back half of this season goes for us. Currently in 8th through 18 games. Of course, 34 games in a season. The top 6 very much within reach. And in terms of the drop zone, we're 11 points clear of the relegation game where Dusseldorf currently reside. So yet again, we're in a similar spot to where we were last year, except if anything, I view us as doing a little bit better just because of the pressures of the Europa League. Like, if anything, we're doing just a little bit better. So just take a look at the top moves. Jovic, Barco, Toro Martinez on the move, Timo Werner, Fabinho sold. My heart, it hurts. It hurts so much. But the top options of what's happening around the world for those who know the names, know the faces, and care to see the top moves. Timo Horn also on the move. That could really hurt Cologne to finally lose their absolute stud of a goalkeeper. So the final scouting report for this episode, Josh Evans, hello. Hello, and Frank Moore. 2 decent additions. I will see you guys in the next one where we are, I want to say likely to finish up this season, but we do have the next leg of the German Cup against Nuremberg. We have the home and away leg in the round of 32 of the Europa League. Some relatively tough matchups. I mean, Bayern Munich coming up, Schalke coming up, another game against Dortmund. So we'll see. We got a decent ways to go in the Bundesliga. We're still in 2 other tournaments at the moment, but so far, so good.